you very much, and here's your refund slip. Look, whatever it is, it must be the only one like it in the world.
It's a set. I took the other one back yesterday. Here, let me help you.
I slipped on this floor. No. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Lie still, and I'll get the store nurse.
I'm going to sue this store for every cent they've got.
Yeah. Oh, that's a very bad thing to say. I'll get the manager, and just don't move. You may have a concussion.
Frankie, that was the most beautiful dive you ever took. It's too bad you're too late for the Olympics. We'll take these birds for 100 G's.
Cool it. Someone coming.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Do try and bear up. Here, let me make you more comfortable till the nurse gets here. Shall I loosen your collar?
Leave me alone. You've done enough already with your slippery floor. Tell me, sir, did you see me fall?
Oh, indeed I did. But I prefer to keep myself extricated from such unseemly public altercations.
It's your duty as a citizen. Please give me your name. I may need a witness.
My card.
Witness?
Yes, I intend to sue this store. The manager of the store, you. And that nitwit who said can crush.
I see. Well, you're perfectly within your rights. Now, if you will excuse me, I'll go call the insurance company. Hello, would you get me our insurance agents, please? All right, I'll hold. My gosh, I'm sure of it.
Sure of what?
That fellow on the floor in there. I've seen him before, and in the same position.
Maybe he's got weak ankles. What happened?
This man slipped and fell down and hurt himself.
Can I get you a doctor?
Please, I'd like a lawyer, too.
A lawyer? Well, it happens that I'm an attorney. I could refer you to a number of...
You'll do.
I'm convinced the man is a crook, and only a crooked lawyer would represent him.
Congratulate me, Dad. I just got a client.
Many Happy Returns is brought to you by Gaines Burgers, the new dog food, Post cereals in new compact boxes, and Log Cabin Syrup, all fine products of General Foods.
It takes 35 gallons of maple sap to get 1 gallon of pure maple syrup, which Log Cabin then blends with the finest of sugar syrups. The result? Flavor that's sweet, smooth, deep as the woods. Log Cabin, the syrup with real maple flavor.
3,000 lawyers in this city, and my son-in-law has to take this case.
What are you worried about? The store has plenty of money.
It's not that, Mr. Foley. Bob's a young lawyer. He could have a brilliant future ahead of him. I don't want to see him make a misstep like this. Mr. Foley, this is terribly important. Did you actually see Smedley fall down?
No.
Where do you think he hurt himself, Joe?
If you ask me, Mr. Burnley, he sprained a liniment.
Well, serves me right for asking you.
Mr. Burnley, why don't you just tell your son-in-law this man is a phony?
Because my son-in-law is a young lawyer of great integrity who just saw a man carried from this store, unable to walk, in apparent pain. He will require evidence stronger than my opinion.
I have another idea.
You know, I just thought of something very funny.
What?
Mr. Sharp's face when he finds out my son-in-law is suing the store. He'll probably have me buried in the tomb of the unknown exchange manager.
Friendly, I have something to tell you.
Excuse me. I've got to order some Reeds.
Yes, Mr. Sharp.
I just fired the elevator starter.
Mr. Higgins?
Yes, drunk on the job.
But Mr. Higgins is not a drinking man.
Oh, no? Higgins told me your son-in-law was going to represent that Smedley fellow who's suing our store for $100,000. Isn't that the funniest thing you've heard today?
Mr. Sharp, get Higgins back.
But when a man's under the influence of... Oh, no. You mean to tell me your son-in-law would have the gall?
Now, Mr. Sharp, calm down. For your information, I think this Smedley is a professional faller. In fact, he's the same man that tried this 5 years ago in our New York store.
Frank Smedley. He's the fellow who tried the same thing 3 years ago when I was in the Chicago store.
Yes, and we'd better warn the Honolulu store he's moving west.
I assume, then, your son-in-law will not get involved in such shady dealings.
Mr. Sharp, you may dismiss the matter from your mind. You have nothing at all to worry about. I give you my word, my son-in-law is a responsible and sober young man. Good evening.
Oh, hi, Dad.
Champagne?
That's right.
Hey, Dad, how about some?
No, thank you. What's the occasion?
Occasion? My husband is on his way to getting the biggest fee he ever earned.
Dad, do you know how much juries are awarding on claims like Mr. Smedley's? Why, we'll have champagne every night.
On the other hand, I believe I will have a drink.
Good. This, Dad, is a happy day for all of us.
You know, Bob, there comes a time in every man's life when just as he reaches for that pot of gold beyond the rainbow, he realizes it's all a mirage. The gold disappears, and he's left without even a pot.
How's that again?
Hi, Grandpa.
Well, hello, Laurie. How are you?
Dad, what are you trying to say?
To put it quite bluntly, I just want you to know that this Frank Smedley is a professional faller. He makes his living at this racket.
What? Dad, are you trying to say he fell on purpose?
Exactly so.
Oh, now that is a pretty strong statement, Walter. Can you prove it?
No, but I have reason to believe I saw him try the same thing in the New York store 5 years ago. And Mr. Sharp thinks he remembers him trying it in the Chicago store.
Now, wait a minute now. A man is innocent until he is proven guilty. And until I get proof otherwise, I am going to continue to represent Frank Smedley. I mean, after all, there is a big difference between belief and proof.
Bob, I never anticipated anything like this.
Grandpa, you promised to tell me a story before dinner.
Yes, well, just a short one, Laurie. Bob, I wish you'd think it over. Well, what story shall we tell tonight? Perhaps a story of domestic conflict would be appropriate. There we are. In you go. Off with the booties. Uh-huh. The other one. That's it. Under the covers.
What's the story, Grandpa?
Well, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown.
Did he fall on purpose? Do you have proof that he fell, or do you just believe it?
Well, what I believe is that it's time for you to go to sleep, young lady. Night, Laurie.
Good night.
Sleep tight.
Now, why would Dad make a statement like that if it weren't true?
Well, honey, you know, I think your father's afraid of losing his job. You know, I mean, he's probably insecure. I mean, I don't blame your father for taking Crocmire's side. I mean, after all, your father's no longer a young man.
What do you mean my father's no longer a young man?
Figure it out, honey. Let's see. In September, you'll be...
24.
24? Well, let's see now. I'm 29. When we were married, you were 19, and I was 21. Whatever happened to those other years?
Everything that's missing around here is my fault. What are you trying to say?
Honey, I'm just trying to say that even if you're 24, your father's got to be close to 50.
My father is nowhere near 50.
All right, so he's 49. Well, that's almost half a century, honey. Half a century. You know, the mind can begin to crack. Well, now, do you expect me to take the word of a cracked mind against what I saw? And, honey, I wish you'd stop taking your father's side every time we have an argument.
Well, I like that. Bob Randall, if our baby is born mean, I'll know where the meanness comes from.
Now, honey, please. Try to relax. It's not good for my baby.
Your baby? I'm going through unbelievable discomfort. I can't get into any of my clothes anymore. I can barely get in and out of the car, and suddenly it's your baby.
Well, my nose tells me we're having Swiss steak for dinner.
Sit down, Dad.
Thank you, dear. Do you realize that that half the people in Switzerland live at an altitude above 8,000 feet? Of course, I think if half the people live above 8,000 feet, it must be pretty noisy for the people living below. And speaking of Switzerland, we were speaking of Switzerland, weren't we? I'm told that the holes in Swiss cheese cover more acreage than the actual cheese themselves.
Broccoli.
Thank you. And also, someone told me once that if all the glaciers in Switzerland were chopped down into small pieces of ice, that actually there'd be enough ice cubes there, something like 1,420,000,000 ice cubes, to supply enough ice cubes for the cocktails for, half the world, I guess, for the next 20,000 years or so, which would probably be a big boon to the cocktail industry. Not that it'll ever happen, but you never know nowadays. Things are happening so rapidly.
Dad, where are you going?
Well, actually, I'm not very hungry. I thought I'd go down and take in that local movie.
But, Dad, it got a very bad review.
Yes, but I understand the critic on that paper is close to 50. And sometimes when a man gets near that age, his mind begins to crack. Night.
I got Smedley's address, Chief.
Splendid.
Wasn't easy to get.
What are you whispering about?
You told me to keep it a secret.
Oh, well. Now, if you'll hold down the fort for a few hours, Joe, I'll... Oh, my gosh.
What's wrong?
My car's being fixed. May I borrow yours?
Oh, help yourself. There you are, boss. Well, this isn't the key. That's not the key. These aren't my keys. My keys are in the car.
Aren't you going to wear a hat?
Not on a nice day like this.
Well, if your head gets cold, I keep a checkered cap in the glove compartment.
A checkered cap? I wouldn't be caught dead wearing a checkered cap.
Well, Charlie Brown, think you're old enough to be driving such a big car?
And what are you going to be when you grow up? A policeman?
Very funny. What's your trouble?
Well, this safety belt seems to have a little too much safety in it. I can't get it open. And as you can see, I have a flat tire.
Well, if you can't get it off, let's cut it.
No, I'd rather not. You see, this is not my car.
Not your car. Flat tire and you can't get out.
Now, there must be a solution.
I've been flying now since 1941. We'll have some problems in the field, and oftentimes I'm going 18 hours a day. For breakfast, I've got to have something I know is going to stick with me. Post 40% bran flakes. I keep my system completely lined up with it.
We all have breakfast together. Ed has Post 40% bran flakes at least 4 times a week.
It's crisp and makes a delicious breakfast.
Stay at your best. Start your day a little bit better regularly with good-tasting Post 40% bran flakes. Smell good ground Maxwell House coffee. The coffee that always tastes as good as it smells. More Americans buy Maxwell House, brew it more often than any other coffee. Maxwell House always smells good, always tastes good, always tastes as good as it smells. Maxwell House, good to the last drop.
Yeah?
Good day. Could I speak to Mr. Smedley?
He's not here. He's in the hospital.
When did this happen?
This morning, ambulance came and got him.
Ambulance? What hospital?
General Hospital. You a cop?
No.
Too bad.
What's too bad?
The way he keeps falling.
What do you mean?
3rd time in 6 months. Can't understand it.
Can't understand what?
Never falls here. Runs up and down these stairs like a mountain goat.
Oh?
Strange. Always falls in department stores.
Real strange.
Think I know you.
No, you don't.
Ever on Dragnet?
No. You?
No. What's your name?
Charlie Brown.
Hello.
Hello, Laurie. How are you, dear?
I'm fine, but my doll is sick.
Your doll is sick. What's the matter with her?
She has a headache. I dropped her out the window and the mailman stepped on her.
Oh, that's too bad. I'm sorry to hear that.
Can I sue the mailman?
Well, I don't know. You'd better ask your father that.
He went to the office.
Laurie, tell me, were Daddy and Mommy quarreling?
I don't think so. They weren't talking to each other. Goodbye now.
Hello, Walt.
Bob, have you decided to drop the Smedley case?
Well, Dad, if you're that worried about your job, I'll be glad to drop the whole case.
Ah, you still refuse to believe the man's a faker, eh?
Yes, I do. But it seems I have no other choice. I mean, after all, you're Joan's father.
Smedley's put himself in the hospital.
Well, Joan's father would like you to be at the hospital this afternoon at 4:15 to see your client.
So that ambulance-chasing son-in-law is still handling the case, huh?
4:15?
That's right. Now, let's synchronize our watches. In exactly 1 hour. See you, Bob.
Burnley, I warn you.
Mr. Sharp, you win.
What?
The award for rudeness. Now, if you'll excuse me, I shall put into effect Operation Smedley.
Operation Smedley?
The end of Mr. Smedley's career. Good day, Mr. Sharp. Joe.
Yes, Mr. Burnley.
I want you to take Miss Hall down to the uniform department and arrange for the following things.
Mr. Burnley.
Not Mr. Doctor.
Doctor, are you sure that I look all right? I mean, I've never been a nurse before.
Relax. I've never been a doctor before. I wouldn't know how to set a broken popsicle stick.
Doctor.
Where? Oh.
Dr. Anderson's patient's having a baby in the lobby, and I can't find him. Right this way.
But I don't work in the lobby, you see. I only work on the 5th floor.
Oh, there's Dr. Anderson. Thank you, Doctor.
That was a close one. See, for a minute there, I thought I was going to faint.
Don't faint. I wouldn't know how to revive you. Now, pull yourself together. Frank Smedley.
Oh, what if we get caught?
No problem. We simply lose our jobs and go to jail. Now remember, the cue is Philadelphia. When I say Philadelphia, you get to work. Understand? Mr. Smedley, I presume?
Oh, you're,
Dr. Chatsworth Stonehenge, and this is my assistant, Mrs. Perrins. They asked me to examine you.
Oh, you must be from the insurance company.
Definitely.
Well, you're wasting your time examining me because my legs are quite numb. I can't even walk.
Oh, that's a pity. That must be quite an inconvenience. Nevertheless, I must examine. One must earn one's tea and tuppence, what? Pad, nurse?
Pad.
Thank you.
Wait.
Now you say your legs are numb.
Dead as logs. And there isn't enough money in the whole world to repay me for all I've suffered.
I quite agree with you.
You do?
Of course I do. However, there are certain formalities with which we must proceed. Mallet, Miss Perrins?
Quite.
Thank you. Now, let me see.
Ouch! What are you doing?
Sorry, old boy. I thought you said they were numb, dead as logs.
Well, I didn't really feel anything, of course, actually. But you see, as soon as I saw you were going to hit me, I remembered what it used to feel like.
Well, now let's see if you can feel this one. Thank you.
Quite.
Congratulations.
On what?
Your legs are bad, but your memory is superb. Now, if you'll excuse us, this calls for a consultation. Miss Hall, I was right. The man is a fraud.
Are you positive?
Positive. And not only that, his accent is phonier than mine. Mr. Smedley, there's no doubt you've suffered a grave injury.
What?
Spatula, Miss Perrin?
Spatula.
Thank you. Now, if I'm not being too personal, would you mind opening your mouth?
My mouth? But it's my legs that are giving me the trouble.
My good man, medically there's an important connection. You've heard of the hoof and mouth disease?
Yes.
Now, would you say ah?
Ah.
Again.
Ah.
Ah again?
Ah.
Very good. Now, would you be good enough to say it 20 more times and don't breathe unless it's necessary?
Ah. 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 Ah.
What time is it?
It's 4:12. We have 3 minutes. What are we going to do?
Leave it to me. Mr. Smedley, quite often these things are psychological. Now, would you mind if Miss Perrins helped you out of bed?
What?
Just a step or two.
But I've told you, Doctor, I cannot walk.
Would you like to dance?
That's enough, Miss Perrins. Would you mind stepping outside? I am afraid I shall have to break the truth to Mr. Smedley.
What truth?
My dear man, the whole trouble stems from an injury to your spine.
Are you sure?
My dear man, I have great news for you. Surgery will not be necessary if you will just get up and exercise your spine a bit.
But, Doctor, have you lost your mind? I've told you I cannot walk.
Oh, well, if you can't, you can't. I'll just fill out the proper papers, and in a few days you should have a check from the Home Office in Philadelphia. Good old Philadelphia.
Doctor! The building is on fire!
What? Oh, my goodness, we must get a stretcher and evacuate Mr. Smedley. He can't walk.
I'm not waiting for any stretcher. I'm getting out of here. Out of my way.
Hold him, Bob.
Alan, what's going on here?
So you couldn't walk, eh? You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Because of people like you, insurance rates are higher than they should be. Lawyers who shouldn't be allowed to practice are making an indecent living. And people who are very fond of each other are barely talking to each other.
I'm sorry, Dad.
Well, out of here, you!
But what about my clothes?
Out!
And stay out of Crockmeyer's, too.
You know, he's kind of cute. I wonder if he's single.
Let's go home. Good idea. Well, you almost had a real accident case.
Coconut has changed. Now Baker's has a new moistness secret that makes Angel Flake so moist and tender your fingers can feel the difference when you take it from the can. You can taste the difference in macaroons. Angel Flake's so moist tasting to begin with, it actually stays moister longer than fresh coconut. From the very first bite, the moistness lasts and lasts and lasts until the very last bite. See? Every shred still moist and chewy. Baker's Angel Flake Coconut, now in this reclosable large-size can with snap-on plastic lid. Another fine Baker's product from General Foods.
And we were all going to the fair in cars and trains.
Well, where's the patient?
Oh, hi, Dad.
There she is.
Hi, sweetheart.
Oh, she's much better. Now, we've got wonderful news for you, Laurie.
Sweetheart, I told the post office we were going to sue them. And you know what? They decided to settle. And here is your settlement.
But these are cherries. Tell them that I like peppermint.
Oh, I thought we'd have to take this to a higher court. Well, what about this?
Thank you, Grandpa.
Now there's new power in SOS. Bulldozer power. Power to rip through burned-on food like a bulldozer. Because now SOS is loaded with a new kind of soap. A brand new SOS soap that cuts grease faster, easier than ever. New SOS soap pad with bulldozer power.
Many happy returns has been brought to you by new SOS soap pads, Gainsburgers, the new dog food, good ground Maxwell House coffee, all fine products of General Foods.
The sun is shining, and it looks like rain.
Morning, Uncle Walt.
Morning.
Now, Ellen, don't feel too bad. Ralph's only going to be gone for a few days.
Ha!
I beg your pardon?
Ha!
Oh, that's different. Look, it was very kind of you to ask me to stay with you while my house is being painted. But if it's going to be any sort of a problem, I can always go to a hotel.
It has nothing to do with you, Uncle Walt. It's your nephew.
And the woman he married?
Oh,
I
Uncle
tell you,
Walt,
what can a fellow
he
do
is-
when his
oh,
wife
he's so
does not know
cruel
the value
I
of a
don't know.
dollar and keeps running up bills?
Please, children, please. I've had years of experience with all sorts of difficulties of this kind. But my one infallible solution for bringing peace to your home is to stay completely out of it. Ralph, what time does your plane leave?
Not soon enough. You see that? She knows I don't like my toast dark.
Well, I'll take it, Ralph. Perhaps Ellen can make you some more the way you like it.
Yes.
Yes.
Would you like some eggs, Uncle Walt?
Thank you, dear.
Coming right up.
Well, how do you like that? I've got to go all the way to the airport and catch a plane for San Francisco, run my legs off from office to office with no time for a bite to eat, and does she ask me if I want eggs?
Do you want eggs?
No.
Oh,
Ellen, don't you think I'm a little too old for a blackboard?
Yeah.
Why don't you give me a piece of chalk and I'll write your name on it?
Well, they say charcoal is very good for the system.
Jimmy, dear, you finished dressing?
I'm combing my hair. I'll be finished in 2 minutes.
I'll give you 1 more 2 minutes.
Ellen, are you taking Ralph to the airport?
Oh, you must be joking.
How could she go out of the house? She hasn't got a thing to wear. Only 5 jackets, 10 pairs of shoes, 20 skirts.
I'm taking everything back, everything.
To my store?
Oh, now you're on her sidewalk.
Ralph, I insist I'm completely objective.
Oh! Now you're on his side.
Ellen, I am not taking sides. I don't even know what the game is.
That does it. I mean, what more can I say? I try to be a reasonable man. But I don't think anything excuses a woman who runs up a charge account that her husband can't afford to pay.
Some of your things were on that bill, too, you know.
Yeah, 6 pairs of socks. Now, what am I supposed to do, go around barefooted?
Well...
Do you see what I mean, Uncle Walt?
Oh, a double yoke. I tell you, this population explosion has hit the chickens.
I'll say goodbye to Jimmy on the way out. Goodbye, Uncle Walt.
Bye, Ralph. Have a good trip.
I'll call you tonight and tell you what hotel I'm at.
Oh, thanks.
Bye.
Bye. I ask you, Uncle Walt, have you ever met anybody so stubborn, immature, self-centered, and opinionated?
Oh, now, Ellen, I think Ralph is partly to blame, too.
Many Happy Returns is brought to you by Jell-O Pudding and Pie Filling. And Post, the cereals that start your day a little bit better. All fine products of General Foods.
I've been flying now since 1941. We'll have some problems in the field, and oftentimes I'm going 18 hours a day. For breakfast, I've got to have something I know is going to stick with me. Post 40% bran flakes. I keep my system completely lined up with it.
We all have breakfast together. Ed has Post 40% bran flakes at least 4 times a week.
It's crisp and makes a delicious breakfast.
Stay at your best. Start your day a little bit better regularly with good-tasting Post 40% bran flakes.
Good morning, Miss Hall. Good morning, Mr. Foley. It's a lovely morning. The sun is shining and... What's the matter?
First crack out of the box, a woman returned this dress. $300.
Mrs. Cartwright, one of our best customers.
And it's original Francois. If I ever got it on, they'd have to kill me to get it off.
Did she say why she returned it?
She bought it because she thought she was going to lose weight.
She said she went to one of those reducing farms.
Rode a horse all day.
And she didn't lose weight?
The horse got skinnier, but she didn't.
What a way to start a day. A $300 refund.
Miss Hall, this woman spends over $4,000 a month in this store. The mere fact that she is still alive is very reassuring.
$4,000 a month? Her husband must be a Maharaja.
Yes, or a shriek. Market return to stock.
$300. I didn't pay that for my car.